All right, so let's say hypothetically flash forward a year from now from this project that we just started, right? And you went from this initiation phase towards this in progress phase, now towards this closing phase, right? So if you want to change and update the current phase to its newest phase, we click the change phase button right here. So the moment we click this button, we are greeted with this interface. It will show us its current phase, which is initiated, and we want to change it to its closing phase right here towards closure. Here's the theme that is always reoccurring, right? The moment we input new information, we're going to explain why we're inputting new information. So you're also greeted with this input field right here as well. And I've also coded this app to make sure that you're not getting redundant data, meaning if the current phase is initiated and I want to submit initiation again for no particular reason at all, the moment I click submit, you're greeted with this error message saying that you cannot resubmit the same project phase because you're going to get some discrepancy in data and you might get redundant data, and we don't want that. So the same also applies if we submit nothing as well. It's going to ask us please select a project phase because it cannot be empty. But back to the hypothetical, right? If we're towards its closing phase, we click closure. So we click submit. Now it switches to its closure phase, and that's perfect. But let's say we did a closure phase. Now we decide to do a follow up just to basically wrap this project up, right? What's the last final follow up? If we click follow up and then we do final follow up, right? And we just say right here, almost done with project, right? And since this is not our first follow up, we enter no. And let's say hypothetically it's off track. It's closing, but it's been a really rough year. So we click off track. Now we put why it's off track, rough year, for example. We don't have to put any deliverables for this example, but we jumpstart to basically let's do a new follow up just in case like things are going uphill from now. Let's say want to complete XYZ, and let's just give a random date just for the sake of just providing an example. So the moment we submit this, right, we click submit. I want you to pay attention to where my mouse is. Right now it's in its closure phase. Our prior follow-up had the current phase as initiated, now it's closure, and this is very important. Let's say the very beginning of your project is definitely the most easiest, right? So that's why you might see a lot of greens, less yellows, less off tracks, less at risk, because that's during the beginning phase of a project. But let's say you're going towards its closure phase and you're having a lot of issues with clients or team members, right? So it's been a rough year. Well, you might see a lot of reds and a lot of yellows along the way. So this app is basically keeping track of what's at risk, what's on track, what's off track for each individual phases. That way, when we feed this information to a dashboard, we can filter out which phase had a lot of at risk or which phase had a lot of on track, if that makes sense.